Hello and welcome. My name is Sarah, my pronouns are she, her, and this is a channel about the cross-stitch projects I'm working on and the cross-stitch patterns I design. You can find me on Etsy and Instagram at ModCross. Today is June 30th, 2024, and this is Flosstube number 15. Hello. It only took me 2 times to remember my intro. I haven't done this in a while, and I am so happy to be back and so happy that you're here with me. If you are new, welcome. I'm so happy that you found me, and I hope that you enjoy what I have to show today. If you're a returning friend, hello, welcome back. I'm so happy you're here. It has been 2 months since I filmed a Flosstube. I had all the intentions of filming earlier, but in this case, procrastination actually worked in my favor because I didn't think I had a lot to show, and suddenly I have 3 finishes now. So I guess it all worked out. It has been a wild time. It's a busy time in the garden, busy time on the farm. The kids are home from school, and this has really been the first summer that both kids have been in activities. I have a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old. So June was wild. It's hard to believe that it's over, but we also made it. So hooray. And hooray to any of you that are dealing with a similar summer so far. But I have been doing some stitching, most of which I can show you. So as I said, I have 3 finishes, so we are going to dive right into it. 2 of them are fully finished, which is really exciting. So the first one I actually finished last September, and it is in the new Just Cross Stitch Halloween issue. So we'll get right to it with my new design. This is Spooky Skyline, and I love it. So like I said, I designed this last summer. I finished stitching it last September, and so whenever anything goes away for a long time, it's always kind of a pleasant surprise when it shows back up. And so I was getting ready to film in the middle of June, and then life. And then this showed up in a box one day with the printed issue of the magazine. And it's like, oh yeah, nope, I need to start doing a video and things for this. So this is Spooky Skyline. It's a little cat. This is obviously meant to be Asal, Miriam of MarroomyCraft's cat, but I know that a lot of us have black cats in our lives that we know and love, so he is all. This design, well, let's do the basics first, and then we'll go into the backstory. So this is 118 stitches high, by 82 stitches wide. It uses 9 DMC colors, and the called for fabric is 16 count Heather Aida by Fiber On A Whim. It's the same fabric I used for the Stitch Witch ornament that was in the previous year. The finishing is on a wooden lantern cutout. It actually has lines as well. And that is from LaserCraftShop on Etsy. This is the 12-inch size. Did I order one smaller first before I realized that they would be measuring the whole thing and not just this part? Yes, I did. So I also have a smaller lantern that I'll hopefully use for something someday. It's fine. So this is, 16 count Aida and the 12-inch lantern, painted it black, and then Just Cross Stitch added the ribbon, which I really like. So just a little bit of back stitching for the ballast bags and that, but otherwise all full cross stitches. Nothing sparkly this time, but you could certainly add some sparkle. You could make the ghosts or the moon glow in the dark. The windows would be really cool, glow in the dark. So yes, so this one was definitely a process. This is not how it looked in my brain originally. The hot air balloon was the initial idea. That was the impetus. I really wanted like an orange Halloween-y hot air balloon. And then I had originally thought about having 3 kind of Halloween monsters, like a Frankenstein and a mummy and maybe somebody else in the balloon, like throwing candy onto a village or kids below or something. And so I did the balloon first, and I got the shape, and then I kind of did ribbing lines just in the design program, and then kind of started filling in the chevron pattern. So this is 4 different colors of orange, all really, close numbers together. They're all in the same kind of series. And then I started designing the balloon underneath, or the basket underneath it, and I realized that it was way too small. I was not going to be able to fit any characters big enough to have definition, any definition to them. So then I redesigned the balloon, and it definitely went better the second time. It didn't take too terribly long. So then I had this basket, and the lattice work on the basket is actually copied from a biscornu that I've never released. I designed like a summer picnic biscornu that had a pie in the middle, and I spent forever trying to get the lattice work on that pie right. And I've never gotten it to a point that I'm really happy with it, the biscornu in general. And so it was nice. I was like, oh, I have some lattice work just ready to go. So I borrowed that and modified it a little bit for the basket. The little candy corn ballast bags might be my absolutely favorite part. It just makes me happy. So anyways, so I had the balloon, I had the basket. I decided pretty quickly that maybe just one figure in the basket was going to be the way to go. And I originally went with a witch in there, and it still wasn't quite right. I had a little black cat sitting on the edge with her. I tried making everything purple. I did remember to take progress pictures as I was going through this, because I was sending things to my sister and to Nithya of Daybreak Stitchery, like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And they were very patient. And so, yeah, it went purple for a while, and I would put it on orange fabric, and that also looked really cool, but it didn't have that pumpkin vibe, anymore that I was going for. And so eventually I thought, well, I really like the black cat in the basket. Maybe we'll just make it the cat, because why would a witch need to go in a hot air balloon? She could fly on her broom. These were the kinds of logic things that go through my head. So I put the cat in, and it was like, oh yes, okay, this is what this should be. Thank goodness. I also had originally thought about doing a jack-o'-lantern face on the pumpkin balloon, and it was too much. It was just too much. So really, it took away from that kind of cool shading focus. So we had the cat, and we had the balloon. So then I did, the bats and the ghosts and the moon around it, but I still needed something underneath to kind of ground it, to show that it was actually flying. And so I did a mock-up of 3 different options, kind of wrote just really loose outlines. I did one with just bare branch trees, some with houses, I think, for kind of that original village feel that I thought about. And then for some reason I just thought, well, it'd be nice if the buildings could go up around, higher. Well, yeah, there are such things as tall buildings. And, we really do have a lot of kind of more small, quaint village type houses and towns and things in cross stitch. I was like, I don't know that I've seen a lot of skyscraper type, tall buildings. So I started putting the buildings in, and that's when the title Spooky Skyline came to me, and that's really when it all came together. So it seems like if I have a clever title in mind, the design comes easier. And when I don't have the title, I think it's because I don't have the direction yet, and then we go through this whole process like I just described. But I'm really happy with the way this one came out, and that it finally came together. And my sister and Nithya both really liked it, and then I sent it to my mom. I sent the design mock-up to my mom, who had not seen any of the other earlier ones in the process, and she had a really good reaction to it. Oh, I really like that, and of course she says she likes everything that I do, but like, she was really enthusiastic about this one, so that made me feel a little more confident. And it was accepted. So a little bit of last August and most of last September was spent, pardon, model stitching it, and a whole lot of time went into that balloon. that was a beast. And whenever I look at this, I will forever think of sitting at our town laundromat Well, my little one was in preschool. She did preschool 2 mornings a week. We were having massive septic system issues last fall. So I would drop her off at preschool and I'd go to the laundromat, start the laundry, and then stitch on this never-ending balloon. So yeah, that is the association that I have with it. But hopefully you will also have some memories if you stitch it as well. So that is Spooky Skyline. I'm so pleased with how it came out, and it's also really nice. You know, it's a little hard to work that far ahead and then have to wait to be able to share it, but also then you get some space from the process, and then you're kind of just surprised one day with the box and you're like, oh, look at this thing that I did. Like, I'm really happy with it. So I hope that you will also enjoy Spooky Skyline. So I'm really happy with this one. So it is in the 2024 Just Cross Stitch Halloween issue, which is now a part of the regular subscription. And it is on page 86. It's toward the back. But this issue is so good. There are some great patterns in here. And so I would highly encourage you to check it out, especially that guy on the cover, Miriam Strikes Again. I mean, you just know immediately, right? When you see it, like, oh, that's Miriam. It's so good. I have the perfect fabric for this and I can't wait to start it. I'm so excited. But yeah, there are some really, really, really good patterns in here. So pick it up if you have not. Okay, finish number 2. Was one that I kind of forgot about. You'd think I'd remember these things. I did a start to fully finish in the first week of May for my mom for Mother's Day. So I'll insert a picture here because it's been gifted. But I'd seen this pattern quite a while ago and I was thinking about what should I do for Mom for Mother's Day, and I wasn't coming up with any good ideas or ideas that I was really excited about. And then I remembered this pattern that I'd favorited on Etsy a while ago. So I looked at it and I went, oh yeah, I could stitch that up quick. Famous last words. But it actually did stitch up pretty quickly. So this is DIY word puzzle. It's a game of Wordle from TheNeedleAndFloss on Etsy. Again, everything that I talk about and all the people I mention and all the good things will be linked down below in the description box. I stitched this on 18 count white Aida using the called for DMC and put it in a thrift store frame that I had lying around. So I was really happy with how it came together. It was a really fun stitch. It was really easy. A couple of modifications on the pattern, the T on quilt, that top guess, if you know how Wordle works. On the pattern, the top row is all gray. The T should be green because that is what you're going for in the answer. And the picture on Etsy has it correct, but the pattern has it in gray. So luckily I worked from the bottom up because it took me a while to realize it. But so that was green. And then the letters inside the boxes were left unstitched on the pattern, and I stitched them in white just to have that full coverage look and be a bit of a, retentive completionist. So that is page finish number 7 for the year. If you're new, I turned 40 earlier this year and I thought 40 page finishes in a year sounded fun and doable. It has been fun. The jury's still out on the doable. It is now halfway through the year, but making good progress on lots of things, and that was the point, and that has been fun. So page finish number 7, and it has been gifted, and Mom really, really liked it, so that was fun. My mom's a big quilter and just overall multi-crafter extraordinaire, so it kind of encompassed all the things in a really fun way, and we love Wordle. So my mom, my sister and her husband, and my husband and I all have a family group text that's just about Wordle, basically. Okay, finish number 3. Not fully finished yet, but like I have 3 finishes. Technically one was from last year. It's fine. This is Some Good by Darling and Whimsy Designs. And this is page finish number 9 for me for the year. Yes, there was a page finish in between Mom's Present and this one, and it's on a whip that you will see shortly. So the text pops in person. This has been really difficult to properly photograph. So it says, "There is some good in this world, and it's worth fighting for." This is a quote from the Lord of the Rings movies, and it was charted. The design is a fundraiser design for the marathon for MMIW G2S SAL that takes place usually every year. And so follow Deanna, Darling and Whimsy on Etsy and on Instagram, and she'll let you know if and when it is re-released or re-available for purchase. So this is 36 count limited edition bicolor and cotton. So just kind of an off dye that's a really pretty light green. And it's DMC 300 are the trees, 972 is the text, and 699, yeah, is the green hobbit door up top. So it was kind of started on a whim a few months ago, and there were some days when I just really felt like pulling it out, and so I did. And then my daughter had 5th grade band lessons throughout the month of June, and this was a really easy kind of travel project to go in. And while I was sitting and listening to rising 5th graders learning to play the euphonium, which is like a baby tuba, yeah, this was an easy travel stitch and very relaxing amongst the interesting sounds. But they did great. She's really excited. Anything else? I think that's all of the details for that one. So I think this is going to be a flat fold, and I have a couple other things that need fully finishing before the end of July, so hopefully that will be shown as a fully finish maybe next time. Notice how I'm hedging everything now. Maybe not. It's summer, all bets are off. Whips, works in progress. So since we last chatted, the entire hashtag MarroomyMay happened. And that was hosted by Jerica, Daybreak Stitcher, not Daybreak Stitchery, Daybreak Stitcher and I. And that was to celebrate Miriam of Maroomy Crafts and her amazing array of fabulous patterns. And she is the designer that I have the most works in progress on the go on, and so I would like to get some progress and maybe finish some of those so that I can have them up and enjoy them. So this is Sepideh. She was the first one that I pulled out for MarroomyMay because she has been seriously neglected and needs some progress on. So I started this for winter solstice, I think 2022, Miriam? Is that when you released her? December 2022. And I did a top right corner start, and I mean, it's an easy page to finish. I just had to finish it. And I did. Hooray. And it's so shiny. So this is 36 count winter solstice linen, very appropriately named, from Fabrics by Stephanie. And this is petite. It's all just petite treasure braid. PB04, I think, the silver one. So I just had to bring the border over a little bit, bring the border down, finish the moon, and then put in the stars. They're approximately where they should be. I counted the best I could. There's not a lot to anchor them and count off of. So I think I'll take the border all the way across and then come down. And so then I can start from her hair on this side and go up. And then just to make sure if any fudging needs to be done on the stars, it will be less noticeable than if an entire person gets wonky. So that is my plan of attack for the future on Sepideh, is to take the top border all the way across and go down the other side and then kind of approach her from the other direction. So I could also go down and start on that pomegranate. So may do both, who knows? So this was page finish number 8 for the year. So I'm currently at 9. page finishes. So almost a quarter of the way to my goal at the halfway point of the year. It's fine. It's fine. We're all fine. My second Maroomy piece, I didn't do any new starts. I had 2 that I thought about starting. May was, whew, yeah, it's been 2 months, guys. It has been 2 months, but it was really fun to get all of this stuff together. And I was like, oh, I'm not gonna have anything to talk about. And then, you know, you procrastinate long enough and you have things to talk about. So Birds of a Feather was the retreat exclusive for our Needleminder retreat last summer. So this was started late last July with Nithya and Miriam and Julie of Julie and Stitches. And I think I had 3 full flowers on the border completed. And now I've got all the way across the top on the dark blue and some of the flowers getting filled in. So I was so happy with this progress. I had probably 10 days maybe that I worked on this, because Sepideh took quite a while, and I didn't quite get started at the beginning of May because of the Mother's Day gift. So I was thrilled with this progress. There's something about having like a completed, I mean, I know it's not filled in, but having that frame, especially with Miriam's borders, they're so impactful. You know, it's like, oh, okay, now that's progress. Like I can see one dimension of how big a piece is going to be, and that just really is really motivating. So we are going to meet again in 4 weeks, ladies, at the end of July this year. So this will definitely be coming with me. This is on 36 count Lotus by Stitch Me. It's this amazing light purple, stunning. It's all called for DMC so far. When it comes to the birds, I'm gonna do a little bit of rogue colors, but otherwise everything else is called for. So that's Birds of a Feather. It was so exciting. It was so fun to get that back out. My other whip, I have been, amongst the absolute chaos, I have been keeping up on hashtag Manning Monday. So that is pull out your Carolyn Manning every Monday and get some stitches in. So this is Jade Vine. If you've been here before, you may be thinking, oh, no other full coverage projects? No other full coverage projects. I did so good meeting my full coverage goals for the first 4 months of the year. And then in May, I knew it was not going to be possible between activities, getting garden planted, end of school stuff, preparing for summer, Maroomy May, and the gift stitching. And so I decided I would rather work on Miriam stuff this month, and give the full coverage, the big full coverages, a rest. And that kind of carried over into June. I have hopes of getting back to them in July, maybe, 500 stitches each rather than 1,000, or kind of working my way back in. We'll just have to see how things go, what the weather does. It'll be July will be my 10-year-old's first time participating in 4-H and the county fair. So from what I remember from decades ago, that's another chaotic thing, is getting projects done. So we'll see. There's no plans, but I've been keeping up with Manning Monday, even if it's just a strand, and it's really fun to keep coming back to it. And it's nice to be able to say that I've kept up with one thing for a whole half a year. This was another top right start, and all the called for DMC on 18 count white Aida. And there she is. There is literally just one stitch below these diamonds, and that is the bottom of the page. So page break here, almost to the bottom of the page there. So we will definitely be getting a page finish at some point, hopefully soon, on Jade Vine. So that's going to feel real good, because this piece will turn a year old at the end of July as well. So it'll be nice to to maybe have a page finished by the first birthday. So it's gorgeous. It's all the good colors. I love this one. And it's still really fun to pull it out. And then you go on Instagram and Carolyn Manning's released another 4 patterns today, and they're all gorgeous. It's fine. We're all fine. Okay, let me check my notes. That is all of my stitching, but I have a new segment called Found Stitches. Somehow in the last 2 months, all of these things have come together and I have accumulated multiple pieces of finished needlework. So my parents have been going through closets and boxes and things, and somehow things accumulate in my house, which they did ask if I wanted them first. So it's okay, Mom. I'm not, it's okay, Mom and Dad. So this one is the cutest little Beatrix Potter cross stitch. Obviously, my name. This was hanging in my room when I was little. I'm not entirely sure who stitched it. I'm guessing it was my grandma Janet. But I know that my great grandma Bernice was also a stitcher, and she did a lot of embroidery. So that is one. It does not say on the back. It's really nicely finished on the back. But yeah, it doesn't, there's no initials. It doesn't say who stitched it for me, and I forgot to ask my mom if she remembered. So we may have an update next time. But so that's one. And then this one I know was my grandma Janet. And this is a needle point. And I remember this one hanging in our house. I mean, this had definitely been on display when I was little. I remember that. So I know Nithya and Miriam have talked a bit about needlepoint because in their Embroiderers Guild of America chapter in Chicago, there's a lot of needlepointers. So, you look at things and you're like, I could try that. You just go one way, you don't have to cross it. Faster, less time. So that was definitely Grandma's. And we're pretty sure that this one was as well, because my dad remembers that his siblings each have a similar one as well. So this is more embroidery. So my grandma Janet is the one whose DMC boxes I have. So the plastic boxes, and about half of the cardboard bobbins have her handwriting on them. So that's where I got my DMC storage, was from her. And then my grandma Viv, my mom's mom, was a watercolor artist. So creativity on both sides. And then this was the one that kind of floored me. I was at our local thrift store looking for frames, and they have, the frames, and they also have framed artwork that people have brought in. And that's a really good place to find kind of weird sized frames, because you have all the standard sizes, but, a lot of patterns or things are a little bit wonky. But a lot of times you'll find a lot of square frames that have artwork in them, but I mean, everything at this thrift store is like $1 or less. So you can take the artwork out and use the frame. But I turned the corner and I saw this at our thrift store in Iowa Falls, Iowa. And I was like, I recognize that pattern. Like, it's a current pattern and it's gorgeously framed. There's this amazing fabric backing on it. Like, it's, papered. There's no initials. There's nothing on the front, nothing written on the back. But it's like, this is $2. So this obviously had to come home with me. This is Superior Bees is the pattern by Summerhouse Stitchworks. And like they did the beads and everything. Like there's golden beads, there's all the stuff in the skip. It's gorgeous. I couldn't believe it. I was stunned. I like stood there. I stood there and I looked on, you know, both sides of me, like the person who donated it was going to be standing right there or something. It's just like, I need to know, where did this come from? Who stitched this? Is there someone else out there? Like they would be standing around in the thrift shop watching. But yeah, so that was my big find for, I was stunned. I was absolutely stunned. So yeah, and my headcanon is now that some awesomely hip stitcher like ourselves stitched that for maybe a future mother-in-law, that things didn't work out or something. But there weren't any other pieces, so it wasn't like it was, you know, somebody's, a bunch of finishes or something. It was the only one there because I looked. So yeah, new needlework to have, and we'll find somewhere for everything. I did have some investments, stash acquisitions, etc. It feels like forever ago that I bought some of this stuff, so hang with me. This is the Mayflower Biscornu from Light of the Moon Studios, and I just thought it was the sweetest flower. I love a biscornu, and I can't wait to put it on like a blue or a purple or like a maroon. Just get that white. I love white flowers. I love white pumpkins, and yeah, that would pop. But it was gorgeous. It was so pretty, and it's got the little design on the bottom. It was just so sweet. Very sweet. And it calls for, I did not look into the designer as much as I probably should have. Her name is Allie, A-L-L-I, and it calls for Roxy Floss Co. Floss. So thought that was interesting. But may I stay by your side, Mayflower Biscornu. So pretty. Gorgeous. And her Etsy shop is Stitch Light of the Moon. So again, everything will be listed down below. And then, what was that? The first weekend in June, I believe, I went down to Ames with my kids for our cousin's dance recital. And there was a new needlework shop opening in Ames called Prairie Rose Needleworks. It's on Main Street. It's in kind of a shopping center, so there's parking right there, which is really nice for a downtown location. And she's just getting started. It was super nice. It happened to be their grand opening weekend, which was exciting for me. And so I went in and I did get some charcoal gray 36 count linen. I believe just as Weigart charcoal. So getting ready for fall and winter stitching. Gotta love that. And when I was there, she had, I'll put in some pictures that I took of the shop. So she's got fabric hanging on the back wall. She had some she had a couple hand dyeds, but a lot of, you know, the basics to start. And then a pretty good array of flosses. And all of the patterns were in these baskets in kind of cube storage. And I was just curious. So I went over to the M's and I pulled out the M basket and there were my patterns. And I was like, oh my goodness, because there's only one shop that has ever bought hard copy of patterns for me. And that was my local needlework shop that was here in Iowa Falls that closed in January. And so I we chatted as I came in, and then I introduced myself and I was like, this is my pattern. And she goes, oh, you're ModCross. And so she had purchased Rhonda's stock that was left when she closed. It's like, so if you are looking for a new shop to support that has whatever was left of my hard copy patterns, Prairie Rose Needleworks, Prairie Rose Needleworks in Ames, Iowa. Hopefully there will be more shops that have hard copies after the end of August and Needlework Marketplace, but we will get to that in a second. So yeah, I got the fabric. She asked if I would like her to serge it for me. I said, yes, please. Thank you so much. So she went and just turned around behind the cash register there and serged it quick, and lots of embroidery. There's some good embroidery kits there as well. She has quite a bit of embroidery stuff and books. I think she's adding more cross-stitch kits as well, so I'm definitely leaning into that side. So yeah, really, really excited. She's got some events already, some sip and stitch, kind of regular meetings. So definitely check that out if you are in the central Iowa, kind of Ames area, or passing through at some point. And also then go down the road to Dog-Eared Books while you're in downtown Ames. You won't regret it. So my last kind of bit of stash acquisition was I finally used my 1-2-3 stitch gift card that I got for Christmas. I was waiting until they got some of the market stuff from March, and then I had to wait while they restocked the market stuff from March. But I did have to get some colors for a model stitch that I'm doing, and so I threw on a couple for funds as well. So this is Belsois Boysenberry, and oh, hello. Belsois Boysenberry is the color for Luminous Fiber Arts' new Gathering Violets. So I don't have the pattern yet, but I do have the floss, and then the one she released last year, the Gathering Stitches, takes Sister Scarlet Belsois. So now I have the called for those two patterns when I get to them. The Gathering Berries, the strawberry one, has been calling me real hard this summer. So now that I have some good as my travel project completed, maybe I'll get that one back out on the Q-snaps and get back into some relaxing monochromatic stitching in all my spare time. So I also got 2 October House Fiber Arts patterns that she released. This is Vineyard Fair. So this goes with Strawberry Fair and Pumpkin Fair that I already have. And when I get caught up on my Gathering series, I think this will be the next series that I start. Look at that little guy in the corner. It's so pretty. And then I got the Classic Colorworks flosses that are called for. It does call for some other brands as well. And I think I did a conversion on the first 2, on Strawberry Fair and Pumpkin Fair, before my shop closed, and because I could do them in person. And so I just need to relook up those colors and what I've already converted, and if there are some that carry over, so that I don't need a whole new skein of floss for those. So I will do some research on that and double checking before the end of July, when I get to go to new needlework shops in Illinois, and I'm really excited. So that's Vineyard Fair. And then she also has kind of a long thin series. She calls it something, and I don't remember what they are now, but they're rolls maybe. There's like a long scissor roll and stitching ones, and in the spring she released Pollinator's Garden, which is so stunning. Just all the flowers. It's simple and prim, but also modern. Like I don't know how to explain this, but it just makes me happy. It's happy. It makes me happy. So, and as you will see in the farm update is all flowers. It's just garden central. So, and then also kitted it up a bit there. So I have linen picked out for the fair series. I might use a different fabric for these ones, but we'll see, because I have the pumpkin row as well. So yeah, those are my investments. Plans, Needlework Marketplace. So I am going to be selling my patterns wholesale to brick and mortar and online needlework shops at Needlework Marketplace at the end of August. It's my first time ever doing a wholesale show or anything like it. So I have a website that desperately needs updating and new designs to release. So 2 of them are done because they've been in just Cross Stitch magazine. So Spooky Skyline will be available because you can release the Halloween ones 30 days after publication. So Spooky Skyline will be available and ready for takeoff. My Christmas ornament from last year will be available to shops. And then I hope to have 2 more new designs. One is currently being model stitched by me, and that is all the stitching I'm doing except for on Mondays when I'll do at least 1 strand into my Carolyn Manning and take a deep breath to be able to be doing anything else. So it's beautiful. It's coming along. I really am happy with it. It'll be the next one in the Bloom series with my flowers, but it is taking some time. The other one I'm hoping to have designed is a Christmas ornament, so that will be small and should be fast to stitch. This is my hopeful face. That's as hopeful as I'm getting, honestly. So I hope that comes together. And if not, I'll have 3 new designs and I'll have a different one to release at some other point. I'm reminding myself that just because it was my plan to have 4 doesn't mean that I have to have 4. Like, the world's not going to end. It's going to be fine. I will have new stuff. And then I'll also have the previous blooms, probably my releases from last fall, the Frog from last summer. I think I'll have those available as well, since it'll be the first time that the shops have seen my stuff, mostly. So that is my only plans going forward, is just getting ready for Marketplace and trying to get my stuff done. I do want to let you know about a stitch along coming in August while I'm running around with my head cut off. My dear friends, my needle minders, Miriam, Nithya, and Julie, and Jerica of Daybreak Stitcher are doing a hashtag mod about you, Sal, to stitch my stuff in anticipation of the wholesale show. And yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, it's so fun to be like, oh, let's surprise Miriam with Sal in May with all her stuff, and then I get surprised with a whole month of stuff, and it's like, oh wow, for me. So thank you. I love you all. You are fabulous. So join in, please, if you would like. And if you are on Instagram, check out the account crossstitch_salander. Sal as in stitch along, ender as in calendar. Salander, it's genius. So this is Amity and Aaron of Hathaway Stitchers and Alex of the @Alex_stitches on Instagram. It's an account that is like it's a calendar for Sals, for stitch alongs. And so if you have a Sal that you want to get the word out about, if you are looking to see if there's a Sal that fits a particular piece or what's going on this month, I mean, it's genius to put these things in one place so that we can keep track, because there's so many Sals. There's room for lots more. Like, everybody could use another Sal, right? And so yeah, Cross Stitch Salander on Instagram to see what's going on and when. Highly recommend. It's a great follow. So yeah, those are my only plans. Model stitching and designing, and then being embarrassed and humble and grateful. Those are my only plans. For the farm update, it is garden season, people. And we had a bit of a heat wave. We made it through. It has been gorgeous weather this weekend, and so I've gotten a lot of weeding done that had been seriously neglected. I'm hoping I need to get tomatoes supported and a little more weeding done, and then I think I will feel okay enough about the state of the gardens. to do a garden tour. So I filmed a garden tour, I think it was in June last year. It'll probably be July this year. And then I didn't do a follow-up one last fall because everything was such a mess and I was just harvesting as fast as I could and I was very embarrassed. I'm working on helping normalize the fact that nothing is perfect and very few people have the time to like keep a perfect garden, and that it's okay for some things to look amazing and then you pan over and it's like, well, that's an area we need to work on, or yeah, that one didn't work out, because nothing works out 100% of the time. So yes, I'm putting it out here, so I will hold myself accountable. I would like to film a fall garden tour, kind of follow up, like behold the chaos. So we'll see. That's hopefully in the plans. But for now, I made this little summer bouquet the other day. I did a big one for my mother-in-law. Her lilies are all popping and they're gorgeous. And so I made one for her when she was coming back from her little vacation. And then I had a couple left over. I had some smaller stems, and that works really well for our table because then we can still see over things. So this is scented geranium. This one is kind of citrusy. And I'm growing that for the first time this year for some greenery. This is, is there a better one? Yes, here's a better one. This is Orlea, and I'm growing that one for the first time this year. It's gorgeous. This is Achillea or Yarrow, and Summer Berries or Summer Pastels, I think is the variety, but this is a perennial. I planted that last year and it came back very nicely. These are fancy cone flowers or echinacea. These are from Bluestone Perennials. I think it's something raspberry-y. I ordered them, I planted them last fall, and they are doing great this year. There's a couple other colors I have that are just starting to bloom. Bachelor buttons. This is a magic mix, and it's kind of a mix of purpley ones instead of the traditional blue. And then this is my first stems I've cut of Veronica. It's a Speedwell. And I think this is literally called Purplicious, I think. So you know I was going to get that. But those were also planted last fall and came back and are blooming for the first time. So it's like all the new stuff. Oh, and a daisy from my mother-in-law's garden. I think that's everybody. Is that everybody? That's everybody. So, I love playing with flowers. I've been pressing a lot of flowers. I haven't dried a whole lot yet because the ones that I usually dry, the celosia needs hot weather, so it hasn't really taken off yet. My status that I started I didn't take very good care of the seedlings, and so I had to restart a bunch, and so they're in the ground now, but it's hot, so hopefully they'll kick in the fall. It'll just take a while. The straw flowers are starting to send up some stalks with some buds, so the drying is coming. I did quite a few peonies that I dried that look really good. The dark color dries and presses pretty well, and then I did some pennycress weeds from the pasture that dry well, and I just hung up some lavender from my sister-in-law's garden the other day. So there's some coming. I've been doing a lot of pressing. So yeah, anyway, I will throw in some more pictures here along with what they are. Lots of pollinator friendly natives that I've been growing, and just things. Just a little preview of the garden tour to come, really. So I will insert that here. Okay, hopefully you got your share of garden and flowers for today. My last segment is up next, and it's something, usually a Flosstube channel, that I recommend checking out next. I went a little bit rogue last time, and I'm going to go rogue in a different direction this time. This time I'm going to talk about a podcast. So this is To Trees Talk, which is a podcast that I heard about from Nithya, Daybreak Stitchery, and finally checked out. It took me a while, but I got there, and it is so nice to hear about people making connections through crafting, which is something that we can all relate to, of course, but it also brings in a lot of Palestinian experience and identity, and it allows me to learn more about people that I really want to learn more about, and do it through crafting, which is a very relatable space for all of us. I think, well, I don't know if anyone else feels this way or if it's a common feeling, but there's so much going on in our lives and in the world, and I often feel I should be paying attention to this. I should be doing more for this. I should be. And yes, listening to a podcast isn't necessarily going to help the people in Palestine. It's not necessarily going to change the world, but it can change you. And it's been a good reminder. Like, it brings me joy to hear about people connecting through crafting. But it also keeps things top of mind to remind me to also take action elsewhere. Without beating myself with a should, it allows me to think, I learned something, I really enjoy learning, I'm going to go inside and take one more action to do what I can to help. So I would encourage you to be gentle with yourselves and find a way that I don't want to say that it makes you happy. Just find a way to stay connected without beating yourself over the head with it, if that makes sense. Give yourself some grace, but also make sure to take action. So to trees talk. It's a great it's just a great podcast. I mean, not everything has to have a whole lot of meaning behind it, but this one does, and this time does call for it. So, wow. If any of that made sense, if you enjoyed any of the things that I talked about, please like, subscribe, do all the things. Thank you. It was a little rusty, but we did it. It really is true that if the longer you're away from something, the harder it is to just sit down and do it and get back into it. But this feels really good. It feels really good to just finally get all the stuff talked about. I can put things away now. There are some serious pile issues around the craft area. There's just piles of stuff. So now I've talked about them and I can put them away. I should probably film a reel or an Instagram something introducing Spooky Skyline. So look for that. And just thank you. Thank you for still being here after my absence. Thank you for sticking it out to the end of the video. I cannot put into words how much I appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have any questions about, maybe I showed something and forgot to mention a detail, if you have questions about flowers or gardening, yeah, I think that's it. We made it. There's cows outside the open window, there's kids back there, and I think I only had to stop a couple times, and once was because I forgot to turn on my lights. So I think we did great today, everybody. I will stop rambling now. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Until I see you next time, do what you can when you can. Bye, everybody.